one thing also really, when we talk about the head of state and him being of that caliber, and we do understand that also really he is a wise man, but really what are those things that you really felt that he didn't also really mention in his speech, and you felt that he also needed to put forward in that maybe the presidential address in there? But really so many things happened, and that is something also we did see in there as we continue to discuss on some of those issues that he actually talked about yesterday. And last year, Speaker Among presided over Parliament to pass the anti-homosexuality bill, which is of 2023 also really, and has since been facing criticism from rights activists, and that is actually where maybe some people feel some of those issues that also really are being said against her are actually emerging as a result of her stand against the Homosexuality Act, which many people term as anti-cultural, and also really against our cultures in there. And currently, the United States of America has issued sanctions against also really the Speaker of Parliament, plus their husbands and two former ministers, that's Mary Goretti Kitutu, former minister, also Dr. Mary Goretti Kitutu, and woman MP for Manafwa, and also Miss Agnes Nandutu over corruption allegations in there. And I must say, these sanctions are not only for these also people, but also really for their husbands, plus their spouses. Also really, that is one thing I must also put forward as that way, because if you really look at maybe these MPs, sometimes also really the ministers, the ex-ministers, are now not allowed to move to the United Kingdom or else the United States in there, because they have also been banned from moving in there, and also the property is currently being investigated, where also it is alleged that also the Speaker of Parliament has a house that is in the United States, which currently is under investigation. And that's something also I want to say we are following up on, because also UPDF, also, the US government also actually say that this property would also really be taken over in there, because this is something also really is also part of the sanctions, where they are not allowed to move to those countries that I mentioned earlier on. Now, Ms. Among has reported denied the corruption allegations, and she has also said the allegations were also smoke screened by the West, and also really, that this has also been targeted and placed under sanctions due to also really her role presiding over Uganda's controversial Anti-Homosexuality Act, which prescribes also really a death sentence for aggravated homosexuality. So committers in there. And early this year, the Speaker was criticized by several activists, also really in what was termed as Uganda Parliament exhibition, which focused on the Speaker and the Parliament's expenditure on allowances among other items. And that's something we need to see happening in there. And so many things also really continue, were also really continue to be said in by the president in there. And he also went on to say that some investors are bribing state house officials to meet me, and that's what Museveni said also really in there. But really, how would somebody first of all bribe right from the house? Could it be that also maybe the house is not clean from right from maybe home? That is something I not about, because really some of these officers who are employed there, I believe we are not also really expected to be part of that. We would not expect to see also really corruption in there, because we have seen him also championing to the fight against corruption. But really it becomes also really saddening to see or see that also the corruption is also really being exhibited right from home in that. President Museveni Thursday declared the level of corruption in Uganda, saying some of his staff at State House have not been spared by the cancer, in that also the Inspector General of Government also says it's cost a country at least also shillings 1 million every year, and that is something also really we need to talk about, because if at all we not talk about corruption, then definitely this is the vice, the cancer that is actually said to be eating our economy in there. But how do we really also make sure the issues of corruption does not move on forward? Because we want to see to it that also really corruption is actually put to an end, because really if you see corruption today, we have also lost a lot of money that will be going to hospitals for drugs is actually taken by some individuals, and money that would also really be used for constructing the road. For instance, you look at the road that is now currently between Pakwach to Kampala. It is not in a good state. The road is really in a deplorable state, which calls for also really renovations and repairs in there. But really the money sometimes is not there, and that is why also sometimes we say corruption is very bad, because people do not want to pay taxes, because many times people do not want to pay taxes because they do not see the value for their monies. And I must remind that yesterday we were in for a meeting of URA plus the stakeholders on integrity, and when I talk about integrity, these are the acceptable norms and behavior exhibited either by the URA staff or the taxpayers, which we must all adopt. And one of those actually is the issue of corruption, where it came out that some of the URA staffs are actually also corrupt, and we shall be dwelling much on that discussions later on. But really, let's look at how corruption can be also really be addressed in there, because many of the times issues related to corruption keep on coming out each and every time in any of the engagements. But really we talk about corruption, and we talk about also really issues of service delivery, because the taxpayers have the mandate of paying taxes. They also have the obligations of receiving back the tax, maybe the resources through also the government in there. But that is something also maybe at the end of the day which has been also really affecting tax mobilization in there. But how do we also really make sure that people realize what the monies they're paid for are doing? And we did see many critics also, especially from civil service and the opposition politician groups also really arguing that President Museveni's speech against corruption are simply lip service, given that he has had an opportunity for the more than 38 years he has been in power to deal with the problem, but also really has chosen not to give his willingness to also really amnesty, that is also really to deal with the corruption right from the public servants who steal taxpayers' money in there, because many of the times today we cannot talk about money that is being swindled, and today we are also really seeing this very much exhibited with the parish development funds, because over the years we have not been hearing corruption cases very much where pocketed money, but today we are also really returning to see corruption also really being addressed now within the parish development model. And we also did talk about also some people who actually connive with officials, that is from Parliament, also to pass this right from Minister of Finance, who actually use also that also lobby for these resources. But really, how do we also make sure that these people actually reach in there? These are some of the things that really we feel we must talk about, because if we do not talk about them, and then definitely that is actually how maybe the President's State of Nation address shall be also really not be taken care of, maybe taken seriously in there, because we also had also the mandate also to listen to him, because that is something also we want to understand how the nation is doing in terms of also the governance, in terms of finance, in terms of also security, because he talked about security. We also did him talking about the security, where also really talked about the borders and the ADF. And I really want to say these are things so really we have also really and support the government to us, because we are not going to be leaving that mandate only to one person. Rather, we also really have to support the government in terms of really addressing that. And Museveni also allowed the speaker for performance amidst allegations and threats also in there. That's something also we did talk about earlier on. And he went on to condemn the corruption and foreign influence that also is currently being exhibited. And President Museveni is also, while addressing the state also yesterday, also amidst growing causes of unemployment, a high crime rate, a high cost of living, unprecedented level of corruption and impunity, political also intolerance and rising national debt, among other issues, went on to went on to really call upon the people to also really observe the issues of corruption, because we're talking about the issues of corruption. He actually talked about it very, very much extensively in there. And he talked about the economy also really, and where he said the economy is on the right track, and this is also something maybe you as the viewer also really should share your opinion on. And this is actually where President Museveni painted the bright future for Uganda's economy, which he said is on the right track. I don't know what you think about it. And the president also, while talking on Thursday, delivering his also State of Nation address at Parliament at Kololo Independence Grounds, during the State of Nation address is meant for the president. And if you look at the State of Nation address, this is actually where the president is actually meant to address, to give account of the progress of the country in terms of that is economic, political, and social affairs in the past 1 year also, and forecast what is to come up in the coming year. And this is actually something that we are following up on, because we are getting closer to the end of the financial year, meaning we are expecting this. And recently we did see a Arua City Council led by the mayor also already giving the State of the City address, which was something also we did see went on colorfully. And yesterday we did see the president, the big man himself, that's President Museveni, also already addressing the nation on also the state of on issues that also continue to happen in the country in there. But really, to you, maybe somebody who had what exactly said, what exactly do you feel that needed to be put forward in the State of Nation address and really wasn't also really, discussed in there? That is something also really we need to put forward on our comment section, and we shall be going through it later on. And speaking during a televised address attended by MPs, mostly from the ruling government of NRM, diplomatic corps, and also the accounting officers, religious and traditional leaders, among other stakeholders, Museveni said the economy has also really been able to grow multiple times from that is shillings $1.5 also billion also in 1986 to now that is shillings 55 billion by the forex exchange method, that is and also really 180.29 billion by PPP method in there. Uganda is now in the lower middle income status. That is something also we did see the president also really addressing the nation on, where the president however also took a swipe, that is at foreigners for interfering in Uganda's internal affairs, but they will not be able to succeed. And And really, I love how he has taken a stand over the years on some of the issues that also really maybe the European powers wanted to also really maybe have their influence on. Look at the anti-homosexuality bill, where also we did see the nation also really saying that this bill is unacceptable amidst all the threats also really from the government, maybe the foreign powers. The president of Uganda took his stance, and that is something also really where we must also really appreciate him for. We always say kudos to that, and that is something also really we expect at the end of the day us not losing the fight, because this is a dangerous fight. And I really say, just like the president, he believes that nobody is going to be winning this war, and this is an ideological war which we must also really champion. And I really want to say at the end of the day we are looking forward to that. And Museveni boasted that since 1986 his NRM government was able to diagnose Uganda's problems, leading to accelerated growth of the economy. And I don't know what you think about it, because many times today when you talk about the economy, many people do not want to hear about it. But really, this is something also really we cannot be able to run away from, because today we are looking about the security. Well, when we're looking at the NRM's achievement, we are looking at the infrastructure development, we are looking at the security, we are looking at the economy, and also really other issues that also really maybe this government shall be also really appreciated for amidst all the maybe the gaps which continue to remain in there, the weaknesses maybe existing in there. But really, how do we make sure that we also really look forward to also the achievements, because we cannot be able to talk about the weaknesses alone and not forgetting the achievements, because just like any other government, they are also really highs and lows. And for maybe the president, he talked about the economy growing, and today we are looking at also the economy and maybe how it can be able to be steered fast. And we are also really, according to him, in the lower middle income status. I don't know what that means. I really want to also say that how many meals are you having per day, because that is already where we also really assess as per the dollar rate. Because if somebody is still feeding once per day, then just know that you are still not in there. But if you really you are now consuming 3 meals per day, just know that also really you already in there. If I told you children are going to school, I mean, it's also really maybe the challenges, just know also really you already in what the president calls as the middle income status, lower middle income status. But that is something also really which does not maybe which should make us stop in there. For those who are working, I want to say we must continue working so that it's really nobody is left out, and that would also really be quite well and good for those who are maybe in there. That is something also really apparently I must say which we must all embrace, because hard work is always the way to go. Because if at all we are not going to be working hard, and then definitely we are not going to be achieving very much, and at the end of the day it will be our families who may also really suffer the repercussions of us not working hard. And that is one thing also really we must say individually, we must take the responsibility of working hard, just like maybe the government is trying to also support us with the Paris development model, with the Myoga, and also the conducive environment. It is now our mandate to also really work very, very much hard in there. So really we take advantage of also really making money, so that so we move into the middle income economy. That would also be quite well. And we're talking about integration. The president said the achievements also really will be in vain if the East Africa region and Africa also don't integrate to create a market for each other's goods and services in there. And according to Museveni, this is the recovery of the economy. Uganda's sugar production also has moved, that is from 600,000 metric tons per year. Now, yet also the internal market can only consume, that is 300,000 metric tons, while 5.3 billion liters of milk are produced per year, and only 800 million liters are consumed locally, meaning also really we have to also continue exporting part of this milk. And the president said cement production has reached, that is 6.4 million metric tons, and yet we are seeing also internal demand also standing at, that is 2.4 million tons, noting that this is where the issue of integration comes in, and really which we must all support, because also the Uganda's economy definitely will also need the external markets. And really want to say the integration of East Africa or Africa at large would also really mean that we are going to be also really supplying part of our products to the neighboring countries. And I really want to say that would also be quite well, because we are seeing an increase in production, and then also really the demand is still not very much high. And what will this mean to the supply chain? And that's also really where economics comes in. I really want to say where the production is very much high and then the demand is low, then definitely we are going to be seeing some problem coming in, maybe in terms of sort of price fluctuations, which I must say which wouldn't be good. And that is something at the end of the day which would also really affect the economy in there. And he actually talked about who will buy the surplus which will be produced in there. And the answer for all these questions is that mainly East Africa and Central Africa are buying also really the surplus, and the commercial area Uganda is also really buying goods and services worth 1.5 billion US dollars in there from Uganda. Therefore, the NRM was right to distill the principles of patriotism and Pan-Africanism, and this is something also really we have seen him often wanting to promote, and that is how at the end of the day we have seen also the Office of the Resident District Commissioners and City Commissioners being boosted recently with an assistant, also really Deputy Assistant RCC, who are also really in charge of patriotism and also really corruption and also promoting government programs. I don't know what you think about that, because we have also really seen that these people are actually going to be supporting the RDCs very, very much in there. But really, is it right for us to be told that we must love our country? Because I believe love for the country is something that is expected to come natural, because I do understand that solely if I'm told I'm to love my country, then I must not be forced. I must just love the country just the way it is, just like how many people sometimes say just the way it is. And that is how at the end of the day I really believe we should be loving our country. But if that's not the case, then what should we do? Because these are things solely we must also really look forward to, because if at all you are not loving your country, and then definitely this is actually where you are going to be having a number of issues which wouldn't be right. But I want to say we must love our country, we must be patriotic, we must also really be nationalist, and above all we must be Pan-Africanist, because love for Africa is something that we cannot be able to also run away, because we must cherish African norms, we must be proud of being Africans. That is something at the end of the day would also really make us first of all love the nation, because if at all we are not loving the nation, and then definitely we are going to be involving ourselves in so many issues, because sometimes today we have realized that a number of people are not proud as Africans, and that is actually where today we are seeing color changings. And I don't want to say these are things only maybe at the end of the day where some people are doing this because it is because maybe they admire the other people's cultures, but really as somebody who is African and who loves Africa, definitely I will be able to remain in my black color as it is until I die, and that is something also which will make me proud, and I will also always commit myself to supporting the African norms and African values, and I will also really be proud, and wherever I want to go, I will also say that I'm an African, and that is something also that will not be able to be taken away from me, because I'm an African and I will always remain African. And that is something also I want to say happened in yesterday, and that is something also where we want to put the discussion in relation to the President Museveni's State of Nation address. I don't know what you missed and what maybe you felt that also the President needed to put forward. Feel free to drop it on our comment section in there, and we shall be able to read it after the commercial break, which is just coming up. And I really want to say it's a great pleasure having you on board this morning. Maybe from wherever you're watching us from, you just could be tuning right now, but I want to say you're most welcome aboard. We are going to be doing this with you after the hour of 9 o'clock. My name is Sarish Majid. It's a great pleasure having you on board. For now, let's have this short commercial breather, and when we bounce back, we shall be taking over the conversation from there. Stay tuned.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The search for Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makulachika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors, Grace Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, True Ugandan Beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that short commercial break. We are back in for the final edition of the KOKOLIRIKO live show for this week, and I want to take this honor to welcome you back from the short commercial break. If at all you kept it right from the time we began until this hour of the morning, I want to say it's a great Friday, because usually when we talk about Friday, this is actually one of the days that many people love so much. Maybe those who are yet at work, and then for those who are yet to move to work, this is actually the very big day that they love so much, because it is ushering them towards the weekend where they are going to be encountering a number of issues. And I want to say you are most welcome from wherever you are watching us from this early morning. We are going to be doing this with you up the hour of 9 o'clock, and after 9 o'clock, that's when the news bulletin in Lubarati with Mukulia Lawrence will be coming through. But before we get to give you that, I want to say so many issues continue to happen in the region and also nationally. But we did start a discussion right from also the national scene, where we talked about also the State of the Nation address by the president. And I really asked your opinion earlier on what you felt the president also needed to address forward on that matter. And that is something also you two also still can share your opinion on that. And that is something at the end of the day we shall be able to also share your opinions with the rest of the viewers in there. But that's something also we can't be able to leave out. But I really want to take this opportunity now to welcome you back from that discussions, as we also get to give you lots more that we prepared for you on this morning. And now to begin off the discussions in the other political group, that is a National Unity Platform, where we are seeing a number of issues coming up today. And now we are seeing there's other section and the faction also, Matthias Impuga, criticizing National Unity Platform registration exercise in there. But really, what do we talk about this? Because recently we did see the party launching also its mass mobilization, also registration exercise, also across the entire country in there. And we did see the launch in Arua City, which I personally attended. But really, what do you think about, or maybe some of those issues that you felt that needed to be addressed? Because if at all we are not addressing these concerns, then what do you think about it? Because at the end of the day, we want to see these matters be addressed. Because if at all we continue to live that, then at the end of the day, we are not going to be doing any disservice, because we shall be able to really do a disservice. And now the embattled former leader of opposition in parliament and Nyendo Mkungwe municipality also the legislator, that's Matthias Impuga, and he has opted as his 6th national platform legislators, and also the host of DP block members to organize his June 21st Thanksgiving ceremony. And the Thanksgiving ceremony planned to take place at Masaka Diocese, also Sports Arena grounds, that is in Chitovu. Also is expected to be graced by Buganda Kingdom Premier, that is Charles Peter Maiga, the Prime Minister of the Buganda Kingdom, in there as the chief guest. And it is an event that Mr. Mpuga is expected. It is an event where Mr. Mpuga is expected to announce his political agenda ahead of 2026 general elections, and after a fallout with Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu and also the National Unity Party platform party in there. And that's something also we are yet following up on. And speaking to journalists also in Masaka City recently, which was on June 5th, Dr. Abed Bwanika, the Kimanya Kabonera, also municipality legislator and chairperson of National Organizing Committee of Mpuga's National Thanksgiving Fete, also say the event is expected to attract more than 20,000 guests from all walks of life. And according to Bwanika, the ceremony is intended to teach the public also really a culture of celebrating individuals who have diligently served the country, also really when they are still alive. And that is something also really maybe this man could be right, because many of the times even if somebody is bad, if somebody did a lot of atrocities, but once they die, we have rarely had anybody talking about maybe their crimes, because usually we come out to praise them. And that is actually why Bwanika is saying we must learn the culture of appreciating people while they're still alive, not necessarily waiting for them to first of all pass on. Then that's when we come with the flowers, we come with the speeches, which are very long also in appraisal in there. But yet when somebody was alive, we are criticizing them, we are critics of these people. And that is something also where maybe Bwanika is right in saying that we must learn the culture of appreciating people who have done good while they are still alive. And then we want to say this is something also which to me is quite well, and also needed to be also be cherished in the notable on the organizing committee is a former national platform party, also include Masaka City woman legislator, also Miss, that is Julius Kakande, head of finance and mobilization, also who is championing this lead in there. We also seeing that's Miss Joyce Bagalantwatwa, the Bitiana municipality woman legislator, former journalist, also who is now heading communication and publicity, not forgetting Mr. Michael Kakembo, and Tebe municipality also legislator who is in charge of parliament and local government, also the guest. And we also do have Charles Tebandeke, the Bale County and also the member of parliament in there, and Miss Brenda Nabukenya, also from Luero district woman, also MP in there, among other dignitaries also who are championing also the organizing committee in there. And we are following up on, and just like this group, tomorrow also we are having our own, also that is the Zamaham Muzamili, deputy resident district city commissioner for Central Division, also organizing in that. I will be talking in something about that later on. And Mr. Mpuga's close working relationship with 6 NUP legislators and DP block members also really, according to political analysts, signals also really a new political front, which will likely also have Mpuga as the leader ahead of 2026 general elections in there. But really, what will this mean? Because if at all we are going to be seeing a formation of a new political party, which will be also really breaking from the national unity platform, what will that exactly mean? That is something also really I do not know, but really I need your opinion on, and that is something also really I am yet following up on. And I want to say maybe what exactly should also maybe this people do, because if at all we are seeing the disintegration of the political parties into smaller units, what will this also really mean ahead of 2026? Because we are seeing maybe this not only happening with the national platform, we also expect the information of political parties also from the other political groups. But I really want to say, what does that mean? Because at the end of the day, we are very far from 2026. Very soon, we are likely to see politics also very much actively also taking place, because already we are in 2025. That means that already we are remaining with a short period of time that will be ushering us to 2026, because 2026 is actually when we are going to be having the general election, and actually the president of this state, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, also already is expected to also really address the nation next year by the same period, also really on the other issues. I really want to say this is something also really we are following up on, and the 6 NUP legislators have in the past 5 months avoided taking sides in the apparent also already fallout between National Platform Party, that is Robert Chagulanyi, aka Bobby Wine, also the party principal in there, and Matthias Mpuga, and also none of them also really attended the recent mega mobilization tour in the latter's backyard also really in Masaka City on May 31st in there. But what does it mean maybe for these political groups? Because if at all we are seeing them side siding with the other, while others also take sides with a group. What do these cocoons mean? Because at the end of the day, I want to call them cocoons. I really believe this will also really be, at the end of the day, have its own repercussions ahead of the 2026 general elections. Are we going to be seeing these political groups not being weakened further? This is something also I will be able to need your opinion on. Feel free to drop your comments in there, and I will be able to slowly go through it later. But I want to remind that so many issues continue to happen in the region and also nationally in there, and of which I will be breaking them to you on the show here. And all you need to do is just stay locked. And still talking about also the rift between the National Platform Party members, we are now seeing politicians in DP block that have also joined Matthias Mpuga, also in this Thanksgiving ceremony committee. We have also seen a number of them, which among others include that Samuel Lubega, the first deputy, also the chairperson of organizing committee. We also seeing as well that is Dr. Michael Lulume Baiga, the legislator representing that as the second deputy chairperson. We also do have that is Fred Kayondo, also who is also the Mukono South legislator in that, who is now also coordinating the greater Mukono region, and not forgetting also Richard Lumu, the Mitiana South legislator, who is also really steering the greater Mubende among other leaders. And that's something also I want to say is happening. And the DP bloc members are politicians who defected from the Uganda's oldest political party, which is the Democratic Party, also and joined the DP party. And that's something we are seeing on the past morning. And Mr. Mpuga also was formerly a member of the DP bloc before joining National Platform Party, where he ascended to also the converted of the leader of opposition as also the National Platform vice president for Buganda region, and currently also the parliamentary commissioner in there, where also we did see some also wanting to throw him out. And really, what does this mean? At the end of the day, how exactly is this going to be also affecting the country ahead of the 2026 general elections? That's something really I want to say we need to also interest ourselves in. And he also said he wasn't aware that the party legislator and the district chairpersons are part of the organizing committee, and other organizing committee members include that Moses Kasibante, former also Rubaga North legislator in there, who was also chairman Kampala. We also do have that is Mr. Erasto Chibirango, the Luero district chairperson, National Platform Party also the coordinator for Greater Luero. We also do have Sai Kasire Zemula, who is also from Kasanda district chairperson and coordinator for Greater Masaka, and Haji Muhammad Katerega from Justice Forum in there, among other members who have also joined also the campaign in that. We also have this Thanksgiving ceremony, and I really don't know how it will be able to go in at the end of the day. Also, that is something also I want to sort of ask your opinion on. And leaving that aside, now let's look at tomorrow's also really exercise in Arua City, where we are going to be having Ezamaham Zamil, the deputy resident also district city commissioner for Arua City, who will be having also this exercise. That is also to thank the president, where we also expecting the head of nation, that is His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as the chief guest for the tomorrow's occasion, which is also expected to be taking place. That is right at Arua Primary School playgrounds, where we also expecting a number of stakeholders to come for this engagement. I really want to say we are looking forward to having all the leaders across the nation. It could be the ministers, it could be the MPs, it could be maybe permanent secretaries, and not forgetting other top diplomats also to attend this occasion in there, where also really Ham is actually saying that he is organizing this event not for politics, but rather to thank the president also for this appointment as also the deputy resident city commissioner for Arua City in there, because at one time he actually got the opportunity also to be appointed also as the deputy RDC for Arua district, and from there that is where he got transferred to Arua City as in charge of Central Division. And this also really to him is enough to thank the president also for those achievements, where he actually had a number of opportunities also where the president also gave him to also really lead. For instance, already on Emyoga and also the other issues and other top government activities, where he feels it's time for him to appreciate the president and say thank you, Baba, for these opportunities. And I really want to say is that also really are very much right. And what are some of those issues that really feel needed to be put forward? Because if you look at this, also really Ham says, much as the president has not done very much, but the little needs to be appreciated. For instance, also really we are having the hospital being elevated to regional status. We are now having Muni University. We are having the roads being also really being developed. As we look forward to also really having being connected to national grid also really in there. And to him, this is enough to say thank you. And not for only that, for the appointments also really, and really says this is enough for him to also really appreciate the head of nation also in there. But really, what are those issues that you really feel, if at all the president will be coming tomorrow, you feel he must also really hear of? And this is also something where you feel leaders who are going to be holding the microphone also really need to be to front, because at the end of the day, we also really expect our ideas to reach the head of the nation. Much as also really we are looking forward to having him, at the end of the day, we may also really see him delegating somebody, which I do not know, but really, if at all he comes in person, what are those issues that you really feel that President Museveni must also really hear of and you really need answers towards? Because as the viewer, you have the opinions, and definitely you have also the demands that also the president, also the head of nation, also needs also to front in and also listen to him in there. And that's something also at the end of the day, I really need your opinion on, and that is why I'm asking this morning, what are those some of those issues that you really feel maybe needed to be put forward? That is also where at the end of the day we are going to be getting your opinions on, and I really feel that is something we cannot be able to sort of leave out as we get to move on with the show. This is the KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV. We are just left with about also 14 minutes, that is to wind up the first hour, but really as we are yet moving on, that is something also really I want to say I need your opinion on, and definitely I will be able to sort of go through it later on, because as we look at that, definitely that is something also really we are all going to be looking forward to. And I want to say, for those who are within Arua City, all roads tomorrow must lead, that's to Arua Primary School playgrounds, where we are all going to be at. And we want to hear the president and what exactly he will also be addressing, because yesterday we did see him addressing the head of the nation, and tomorrow now we expect him to also really address the region, that is in relation to issues that continue to happen in the region. For instance, issues of our insecurity, maybe also really issues of power. We expect him to address all this and tell us when exactly we are going to be also really getting maybe the resources that we want, because at the end of the day, we cannot demand for these resources, and that is why tomorrow we must all go to our primary school playgrounds and have this chat, and also really maybe this communication, where we are also really going to be expecting a lot from the head of state, and that is something at the end of the day which I must say will be very much well. If at all he comes in person, I would also really want to say that would be quite well and good. At the end of the day, we are all going to be appreciating that, and that is something also really where I want to leave that aside, and I entirely want to leave it in your hands. What you really feel that the president also needs to address, that is something also really which entirely I will be able to also really want to hear from you. And now, leaving that aside, let's now look at what is happening elsewhere. That's across the country. National story, where state has dropped charges against Chiimba over attempted attack on Sheikh Mubaje, and that's also something we are seeing on the past morning, where the magistrate court at the Law Development Center, Makerere, has dropped also really charges of threatening violence against former Nsanje municipality mayor, that's Haji Abdul Kiimba. And Mr. Chiimba, one of the top leaders in the Muslim community, was arrested, that is from Gaddafi Mosque, Old Kampala, on November 4, 2024 during Juma prayers, as he heckled Sheikh Shaban Mubaje while allegedly also already moving towards him. And that's something also we did see him arrested for, and he was charged alongside his son, that is Hamza Chiimba, with threatening violence and inciting violence, and that's something also where he did see him also being charged for. However, the case came up for hearing on Thursday, where the prosecution also led by Ms. Maureen Tumusime told court that the director of public prosecution also that is also where we didn't see the public director of public court prosecutions had issued a null, that's also prosecutor, I withdraw for a case against the two suspects also in there. And what does that mean? That is something also at the end of the day, because we have also most of the times seen also this rift where people were accusing Sheikh Mubaje of selling Muslim property, and that is actually where some people demanded for him also to step down. And at the end of the day, we did see anger, tempers rising during the Juma prayer, where also people complained about his speech, where they demanded for him to sit down. And that is only something I don't think we must also say people must desist from, because if at all you are seeing somebody is not doing what exactly you expect them to do, you have the option of going to court. And that is why we are saying we must also really embrace peace. Told also, if at all we also want to address our grievances in there, because at the end of the day, if at all we are going to be using maybe mods, ways also really which are very bad, at the end of the day we are going to be seeing also really this affecting our activities. And that's why we are saying people must also desist from tendencies of wanting to take the laws in their hands, which to me wouldn't be very much well in there. At the end of the day, that is something also really which I want to say will be able to affect us, and I really want to say we must all condemn violence, because violence is never a solution, and that is how at the end of the day we shall be able to also really maybe not face the wrath of the law, which to me wouldn't also really be quite well in there. But that is something also really where I want to also really leave that discussion aside as we get to move on a sad note. And this is where we are seeing in a tragic incident where at least 6 people were electrocuted while attending a wedding wedding function, where now the groom is also said to be also hospitalized in there. And that is why we are saying in Allah in another June, may their souls rest in eternal peace and a quick recovery to the groom in there. And that is something also where we did see that on a quite sad note happening also in Mubende district, where the police now is investigating also a case in which 6 people were electrocuted to death as they tried also to erect a tent that's at a wedding event that's at Butawata Market along also the Butawata E village in Chigando Parish in Chigando sub-county in there. And that's something we did see happening in there. And the incident happened at 9 a.m. on Thursday. The incident left also 40-year-old, that's Godwin Asaba Bidwena, a resident of Chigando village, a 51-year-old Boaz Biamukama, who is a resident that's of Namgongo village in Chigando Parish and Chigando sub-county, and 22-year-old Jordan Ayebazibwe, a businessman and resident of Boata village and Chigando sub-county, also dead in there. And police identified the other victims as 19-year-old George Walusimbi, a resident that's of Chigando village, or 30-year-old that's Ambrose Kakuru, a resident that is of also Chiozo, a Barabada rider, and resident of Kabateza B village, that's in Chigando Parish in there. And police say the deceased were hired by one Nesal Omugaya, the groom also to erect tents for his wedding, which was also scheduled to take place, that is today, also yesterday, which was June 6th, at about midday at Butawata Market. And a quite sad note, we did see these people losing their lives, and that's something also we want to say, may their souls rest in the eternal peace for, because at the end of the day, if at all we talk about these things, and then definitely that is something also we also seeing on a sad note, and that is something also really feel we must also really not so exclude out in there, because if at all we excluding that, and then definitely that would mean quite unfortunate. And that is one thing also at the end of the day we are saying also must be also talked about, because many of the times also we must make sure that also the wires which are loose also do not move also unattended in there. And that is why we also need to make sure that the wires, first of all, that are going to be moving in first of all, the wires that are insulated, because many of the times we have also seen maybe people dying after stepping on this wire. It's not the very first time, I must say, people are dying during functions, but really on a quite sad note, we lost those 6 in there. And now we want to wish a quick recovery to the groom, who is actually now being hospitalized, and really that is something also which happened, that's Mubende, on a quite sad note. And we continue to pray and mourn with the families of the deceased, and also really not forgetting the groom in there. And we pray for a quick recovery to them. And we also really want to say that wedding must also really, at the end of the day, be maybe take place, because if at all I believe during the death the wedding had to be postponed, because we cannot be able to really have the two moved concurrently. That is the issue of, first of all, maybe the issue of, first of all, the issue of maybe happiness and sadness. I do understand these two do not move maybe concurrently, but many times we have also seen people also talking that these two moves together, and that is something also at the end of the day I feel we need to talk about. And now to summarize the first hour, we're looking at the stories happening yesterday. We did see an engagement of Uganda Revenue Authority together with the stakeholders, which was on integrity in there. And a number of stakeholders also, as a number of factors keep affecting tax population in the region. We did see, which among other issues is the code of conduct of both the taxpayers and also the tax receivers. We did see also a meeting also taking place, that is at Hunter's Nest in Arua City, also to also really discuss on issues of integrity. And if you talk about integrity, that is also really as far as the issue of the acceptable norms and behavior of the people. And during the meeting, the taxpayers raised a number of issues and concerns ranging from corruption, brutality of the enforcement officers, and other issues which also really make people to also really evade taxes in there. And now let's first get the video of what exactly this was shared during that meeting, that would also maybe tell us what exactly happened as we get to move on with the discussion shortly. For now, let's get the video of these people.
The issue of corruption is deep. It is simply a problem. And at times I tell my students that the thing may not be the thing, but the thing may be the thing behind the thing. This corruption is simply a symptom, is a problem.
When these people come for assessment, they are never trained. They come in groups, 2, 3, 4, and they enter. And you know when you see the other end, you know your problems. They are not friendly, they are gloomy, they are authoritative. We have come to assess you. We have assessed you at this much. You either pay or we close you. But remember, your act leaves a leeway for appeal if you feel your assessment is?
A URA officer who is asking for bribe is not different from a smuggler. They are all doing the same damage to the community. Because that is money which should have helped us finish the Arua Pakwach road faster. But now it's putting it in the pocket. You see that? So let us work together to ensure that we get the right service from URA, and where people are not doing the right thing, whether it is the URA officer or the people who are supposed to do the right thing in the community, let us work together to weed out those people out of the community.
One fact I want to tell you here is when you say you are going out for enforcement, the police will say this is very good. They'll start arresting everybody in the names of URA. Yeah? They get everybody in the names of URA that we are taking these motorbikes where? To URA, and you don't see it anymore. So let us make sure that we get these stakeholders, and when we start this enforcement, let it be the right thing.
That is the chairperson, Arua City Business Community. That is Robert, also, that he's known as Moses Obeta, who was actually also raising a number of issues. And one of the issues also really, as we are nearing towards the end of the waiver period, this is for the border riders who are supposed to be getting the motorcycles at half price, which is just left with about a few days. He actually called for engagement and also the involvement of all the stakeholders before also commencing with what we call also really at the end of the day, maybe the issues of also the enforcement, because many of the times we have seen a number of numberless motorcycles still on the streets, and amid this also really a reduction that is of also really an enforcement in there, because hardly today you see URA staff on the roads, and today we are saying we are going to be bouncing back with enforcement, and that is how people must take advantage of the remaining days, where the minister actually announced a 6-month period that is to also really enable people also really to maybe have their motorcycles registered at half price. And at the beginning of this year we did see a number of issues happening as a result of also atrocities maybe that were committed by the URA officials, but really it led to also really an agreement between URA and the taxpayers to have these motorcycles registered at half price, which many people have not been able to embrace up to date. And now the period is actually nearing, and that we did see URA officers also really raising concern on that, where we did see also Abe Mawerire, the regional manager for customs in charge of northern Uganda, are calling for collaboration of all stakeholders to eradicate unscrupulous passes out of URA and the community. And this is also where the issue of corruption is very much raised on, because many of the times people have been also complaining about corruption being exhibited by officials from URA, who actually also sometimes take bribes. They not also do the returns, and really sometimes where they are ignorant about also filing returns, they move to URA, where somebody is saying to be that your taxes stand at 10 million, and somebody just quickly also really says that really I cannot be able to pay the 10 million. First have this 500 and make me want to work on it, and yet in the system nothing changes. And the other day we also get to realize when transfers are done, because URA policy also really indicates that also I don't understand also where somebody cannot be worked for maybe five years unless also the demand is very, very much high in there. And that's why we are seeing a number of transfers are being done often, which many people actually raise concern of, that many of times they are seeing also these forces are being untimely transferred in there. And what does that mean, and what is the reason behind these transfers? Many people actually raise the concern towards that, but really we also came out maybe to explain that it is their policy. And we did see also factors being raised, and they talked about the smuggling of fuel and motorcycles, which was already said in there. And similarly we did see also as Sianju Diana, a taxpayer also from the region, also raising challenge of intimidation, where the URA staff come to you that we have come to check on you, and we are assessing you at this rate, and whether you like it or not, if you don't do it, we are closing you. And that is how maybe bad this relationship between the URA officials and the taxpayers has been. And I believe with the new management, because we are having a new manager that's in charge of customs, and he is none other than Mr. Abe Mawerire, we are expecting a lot. And this is, I believe, the beginning of the new dawn that is towards also the working relationship between the URA. And before this, we did have an engagement of the media, where also the URA did call upon the media to be their ambassadors in tax population. And I really believe all this will be also really addressed as we get to the climax of the first hour. And this is still a KOKOLIRIKO live show on West Nile TV channel 477 on StarTimes, and online across all our social media platforms. And that's why we are saying, if at all you are watching us this morning, we love you so much. And we shall be bouncing back from this short commercial break, which will be ushering us into our second hour of the show. For now, let's first have the short commercial breather as our final destination remains 9 o'clock.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
The search for Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makulachika, exclusively on Star Times. For more details on how to join the competition, visit www.missuganda.co.ug or visit Star Times branches. The show is sponsored by VNA, LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors Best Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back as we get to finalize with the week of the Mother's Day, and this is actually where we had the Mother's Day. I must say it has been a holy week. I don't know how it has been on your side, and that is how I want to say maybe the Muslims, as today is a Friday today also as well, it has been a holy week. We must also really make sure that we go for prayers. And then to the Christians, starting from tomorrow, maybe to the SDAs, tomorrow is actually your day. We must also really make sure we prepare today for this day, and Sunday for the Christians also really as well. The Catholics and Protestants, maybe we also really have to make sure that we prepare for this day, maybe right from today, so that also when the time comes, we are not also really lacking first of all what to put on, because many times sometimes people not go for prayers simply because they lack what to put on. I find somebody saying that I have no clothes, I have no this, I have not. So to avoid all this, you must also really make sure you prepare today, as that also really when the time comes, you just walk into prayers in there, because that is something also I really feel must also really be respected in there. And now talk about also really the Mother's Day week, which was also really something we didn't see happening this week as we get to the climax. And I must say so many things happened, because Mother's Day was on June 3rd, which was also really just around the week, which was on Monday, where so many people also really went out also really to enjoy this day, because really it was Mother's Day. But really on Mother's Day I didn't see mothers really returning back from wherever they went to, because I don't understand, some people did not go to Namugongo, but on the night I did see them also really coming back in the morning. That means also really Mother's Day was massive for some people, because I was able to see staggering human beings struggling to also really go back home in there. But really, is that the way we should be celebrating our days? Because many times on these big days, we tend to see people actually celebrating this day in a way which I really feel is not right, because on Eid sometimes also really you see people really struggling to find their way back home. On Christmas as well, we also see people really struggling back in the morning. For those who wake up early in the morning, you'll be able to know what I'm talking about. But really you find staggering individuals are struggling to also really reach home in there. And that is something also I really want to say we should also not take forward, because that is something also really which is not right. And now, talking about the Mother's Day celebrations in the heart of Uganda, a remarkable story of faith and resilience emerged from the small village of Paida in Nebi district as an 11-year-old boy named as Mungurumo embarked on a pilgrimage that is Namgonga Mother's Shrine, covering approximately 450 kilometers. And the journey was not only a testament to his devotion, but also really a life-changing experience. And Mungurumo, a primary 6 pupil, was among the 700 pupils also really from the Nebi Catholic Diocese who set the honor of the Uganda Mother's Day celebrations, which is an annual event in there, and the pilgrimage, which is an annual event, commemorates the 45 Christian converts martyred between 1885 and 1886 under the orders of the then King of Uganda, that is Kabaka Mwanga II. And despite his young age, Mungurumo was determined to complete the journey, inspired also by his faith and support of community. And the pilgrims also received a blessing from his grace. Also, that's Raphael Pomoni Wakorach, the diocesan administrator, that is of the Nebi Catholic Diocese at Uganda Martyrs Chapel in also Nebi Catholic Parish in there. And the remarkable also marked the blessing marked the beginning of their spiritual and physical journey united also really under the theme that's for this year's Mother's Day celebrations. As the pilgrims also really walked, their journey was both challenging and reflective, and the diverse group included people of all ages, from children like Mungurumo to elderly participants, all driven by their shared faith. And we did have also really an 82-year-old actually who was also really among these also the people who went for this year's celebration, and that is something also where we want to say that we want to thank them so much for representing West Nile region fully in there. And I must say we are proud of them. We are proud of people who actually hailed from Nebi, who were actually part of this exercise. And I want to say that is something also where we did see it happening. And we want to thank them once again, and also for making sure that this exercise runs as a success, because we did see a number of people also celebrating, and pictures that emerged from Namgongo and the videos also we did see we are actually quite amazing. And that is how maybe Nebi Catholic Diocese should also honor this activity once again, because this is the second time we are seeing Nebi Catholic Diocese also already holding this, animating the celebrations, and we expect more because they really did a good service. And I want to say we are proud of them. At the end of the day, that is something also really maybe for told other dioceses also get the chance, they must also emulate and do exactly and better as also Nebi Catholic Diocese did in there. And that's something we did see happening. And the broadcast drew widespread attention to Mungurumo's journey, leading to incredible turn of events. And now we are seeing Emmanuel Dambo, the director of communication at the National Resistance Movement Party, also really reaching out to Mungurumo, also really so in there now to also facilitate his education, and he offered to support Mungurumo's education, promising to sponsor him until he completes university. In the generous offer to transform Mungurumo's future, ensuring that also his educational journey would continue without interruption. And that's something also I want to say is quite amazing to see. And currently Mungurumo is under the care of Emmanuel Dombo in Butaleja district, and also his parents Harriet and Michael Karenga, along with several also the other well-wishers, accompanied him to Butaleja, ensuring that also he was settled into his new environment where he could now focus on his studies. And that is something also I want to say all those who have the powers should also really emulate, because if at all we are not supporting each and everybody out there, then who exactly will come to their rescue? And this is something also I want to say, maybe whoever is in those offices, we must also really make sure these vulnerable people who need the support also really get the necessary support that they want. Because really for Dombo to come up and also ask that also he is going to take care of this young man up to university education, that is quite amazing. And that means also we shouldn't also leave this responsibility entirely in the hands of Dombo. And just like any other public servant out there, we must also make sure that we pick more, so that we also eradicate the issues of education in this region. Because something that really was said yesterday, I will mention the leader, that also many people today we are not also into this office because we like the paper. Something that angered many people. I do not want to talk about who exactly said it, but this is something also that came out yesterday in one of the engagements that I happened to attend. But really, we want to see more PhDs coming from this region. So that's already, if at all we are demanding for national cake in terms of appointments, maybe in terms of also getting recruited in there, maybe these offices we can also take our stance in terms of complaining, saying that also we have the necessary maybe qualifications, but why is that you're not appointing us? Why is that you're not employing us? That would also really mean a lot, and that is how at the end of the day we must make sure we talk about the issues, because if we not talk about them, then definitely this will continue to affect the region. And the support to this young man from Nebi is actually an amazing thing, and we must also really all respect that. We must also really support him in his new dreams also really in there, because he could be also he could have been having a number of challenges, and now somebody taking care of him, he will also be quite well. And that is how, at the end of the day, we also want to advise him to now concentrate, and we want to see him also really reach out after education, maybe with his education up to university level, as also really planned in there. And that's something also really I want to say would also really mean a lot. And currently Mungurumo is under the care, and he is now in Butaleja district, and now the Namugongo pilgrimage, also culminating in the Martha's Day celebration, which was on June 3rd, which was Monday, was a profound experience of all-round people. And for Mungurumo, it was a journey of blessing, and that's something also we want to say quite happened very well. And it's apart from Dombo, and the attention from the media highlighted the impact that is of community and faith, showing how individual stories of resilience can inspire collective action and support. And that is how, at the end of the day, I want to say somebody who is going out there, maybe through problems, you must come out to the public and explain, so that somebody can be able to solely hear your stories. Maybe those who are willing to help you can come to your rescue. And that's something also really, at the end of the day, I really feel we must also really make sure, because many of the times we have realized that depression is actually killing people because other people feel they not want to open up, and that is how at the end of the day they resort to drugs, maybe alcohol, thinking that also this can be able to also really help and address their concerns, which we are saying not. If at all you are going through a lot, just do what we also really may be talking about. Just open up and also really have a chance of also really having engagements of this caliber, which bring on many people, maybe where also media can be able to also really share your stories and also really your ideas, which would also really mean a lot in terms of changing your lifestyle in there. And that's something also really I want to say we must also honor, we must talk about, because if at all we are not talking about it, then definitely that would mean a lot in terms of also really addressing the issues in there. And that is something also apparently at the end of the day, I must say, is also happening in there. And let's leave that aside. Let's now look at Kalungu. Let's look at what is happening in Kalungu, where fired executive accused district chairman of corruption cover in there. And that's something we were seeing on the papers this morning, where recently dismissed members of Kalungu district executive have also distanced themselves from allegations of corruption, instead also accusing the LC5 chairperson, that's Mr. Kamadi Nyombi Muchibi, of fostering also graft in there. Speaking to the media, former district vice chairperson Gerald Chigundu and Charles Kaliango Mwanje, the former minister in charge of works and technical services, claimed that their expulsion also was a direct result of their efforts to expose corruption in the district. In Chigundu and Kaliango said that their removal from also precipitated by their recent exposure of the theft of the over 21 million shillings earmarked for road construction in Luabenge sub-county in there, and that is actually something that led to their expulsion in there. And Kaliango also further revealed that the state funds were allegedly shared among 3 individuals, who included Hussein Sembaja. Also, we did see who is the Luabenge sub-county chief, Lukaya town council engineer, that's actually Chiwanuka, and also not forgetting that is also Mr. David Segawa, the Luabenge sub-county chairperson in there, who shared the money amongst themselves. And that is actually where they also felt that they needed to also maybe change this away. And he claims that these officials are protected by Muchibi, despite official notifications to the chief administrative officer in there. Chigundu urged the LC5 boss, that is Muchibi, not to also misuse his powers, to also apologize for tarnishing their reputations, also with false accusations of embezzling that shillings 20 million in there. But really, how do we make sure this matters does not go on? Because many times we have seen people complaining about these matters here and there, and corruption continues to also remain a great challenge. And yesterday we were in for the State of Nation address, where His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni very much extensively talked about it. But really, how do we ensure an end to corruption? The corruption that continues to bite the economy in there, where money worth millions and millions continue to be lost in there. But really, how do we make sure that this vice does not go on? That is where I need your opinion, because many times corruption is actually something we have been talking about. So many songs have been sung about corruption, but nothing is changing. And we continue to see the vice going on and on and on. And where is the gap? That is where I need your opinion on. Feel free to drop it on our comment section, and you can be able to solely share it with the rest of the viewers. And Muchibi, a member of the National Unity Platform Party, recently dismissed 5 NUP councillors from the district executive over alleged corruption, replacing them with members of the ruling government, that's of NRM in them. What does that mean? We are seeing also something which is also not amounting in there. And the dismissed executive also include the NRM councillor, that's Irene Nanyanzi. Muchibi also replaced Education Minister Chizito Wavamuno with NRM's youth also representative, that's Sharifa Nakanwaji. Also, additionally, the health docket, where also previously was held by Chigundu, was handed over to NRM's Aisha. Also, something I want to say, Aisha, also Namatovu, who assumed the office under Gender Ministry, formerly chaired by also the NUPS, also Maria Namuli, also in there. But really, what these conflicts mean, and how are they likely to impact on service delivery? And I really want to say that it definitely is having a negative also really where the councillors fail to agree. At the end of the day, this affects that what we call also really service delivery in there, because the decisions also taken by council sometimes are very much paramount, and that is how where we expect each and every time the council members to agree in there. And if at all they are not agreeing, what does it mean? At the end of the day, I want to say this is going to impact negatively on service delivery, because where the councils also really disagree, and then definitely this is going to be affecting approvals. And for instance, also the money that was meant to be approved for any activity to be done, definitely this is not going to be happening, and that is how sometimes council members also opt to sit, because we see this in many councils also really. But really, how do we make sure these also issues do not continue to go on and on? That is where I need your opinion on, because many of these times we have seen council members failing to agree. And how exactly is this going to be impacting on service delivery? That is where I need your opinion on, and I want to say this is definitely going to be impacting negatively on also resource allocation and other issues which I really want to say we must also respect, because if the council members are not agreeing, then definitely service is going to be affected in one way or the other. And now we also did see that happening, and that is where I want to leave the discussion in relation to that aside. And now let's talk some talk about economy, where unpredictable prices pushing machinery farmers into sugarcane growing. That is according to information we are receiving from the district boss. And I really want to say the car samples, if you look at what is happening in Masindi, today you realize most of the people are actually hailing from our region, that is Western sub-region. And that is how today we have so many lugbaras coming up from that area. But really, how do we make sure the prices are normal, and also really where also really each and everybody gets to benefit from that? And that's something also really I would be able to need your ideas on. Feel free to drop it there. Now information from also Masindi district indicates that the Masindi district chairperson Cosmas Biaruhanga also highlighted the significant challenges that unpredictable crop prices are pushing also the farmers to also from both the district and across the district also to growing sugarcane growing in there. And speaking at the launch of the 12th annual Agribusiness Expo, Biaruhanga underscored also the plight of maize farmers who are currently also already grappling with prices so low they cannot also cover the high cost of production in there. And that's where we also really seeing sometimes we are seeing some farmers demoralized because money where also if you're told you're investing a lot of money first in production, and then also where the outcomes are not also matching profits, and then definitely this is going to be pushing many people away into production. And look at what is happening right now today with the changes in climate. And many people would also invest a lot of money, and now we are seeing change in climate, where also the areas that initially used to have rains within this period are not having the rains, and that means also for those who plant their crops, we are likely to see them drying up. And because information from also the meteorologists indicates that we are going to be seeing a dry spell in northern Uganda in the coming months, and now we prepared you for that. And for those who don't have umbrellas, we must also start buying the umbrellas right now, because when we did see that happening, where we did see a short period of heat wave, definitely we did see the price of fan increasing, and now we also talking about the same dry spell according to information from meteorologists in the coming months, which we are likely to see. I don't know how prepared the farmers are, and I want to say this is going to have a negative repercussions. That's on crop production. At the end of the day, hunger may also really hit us in there, and that's something also we are saying shouldn't happen. And organized also really by the East African Grain Council and its partners, the expo also aimed at also promoting sustainable food systems and also the climate, also smart agriculture, fostering inclusive trade, and also the wealth creation in the event. Also gathered also stakeholders from various sectors, including also the agribusiness, finance, agri-inputs, also equipment and manufacturing in there, who came together to also really have these people also really educated in there. Now for people to be pushed away from food production into sugarcane growing, then that is also really how at the end of the day it is going to be affecting people, because information from there also really from Masindi, which is actually one of those areas producing sugar, also indicates that also really unpredictable prices pushing farmers into sugarcane growing. That is also really something which I must say is quite unfortunate, because we are not going to be eating sugar. We are going to be using it for tea, yes, much as we need it for tea, but not each and everybody is going to be consuming sugar. There are those who are diabetic, they need food, and that is how maybe at the end of the day we must also support the farmers who are into food production in there. That would also mean a lot, and that is one thing I also want to take your opinions on. How do we make sure that the prices stabilize? Because many times also we did see happening in Busoga sub-region, where farmers, we are also complaining about fluctuation in prices, where we did see the lorries grounded, where also we did see cans remaining in the gardens, and that is because of the sugar prices, which we also really say to be very much low. And then today we did see many people also being pushed away from that trade into other activities. But really, how do we make sure that people also really have one also maybe activity that they do in terms of farming, so that really when also really there's price fluctuation, it's not affecting them very much, because we are talking, when we talk about price fluctuations, recently we did see those cocoa growers also complaining. We did see those also growing vanilla also complaining. And how do we also make sure the prices are stabilized? Look at those who grow the coffee. Definitely they also complaining, but today we are seeing a slight increase in coffee production, and that is why we are saying for those people who are in the region, who have the vast land, we must also really embrace our culture, because this is where also the money is said to be in, and that's something also really at the end of the day, if at all we engage in, then that will be quite well, and our livelihoods also really will be uplifted in there. And that is something also really, as we get move on with the show, would also really be quite well for us to also really understand, and so maybe engage in, and that would also really mean a lot in terms of also really maybe also really addressing the issues of poverty, and also really addressing the issues of also really maybe, and not forgetting also really other areas that continue to happen in the region in there. And I really want to say these are all possible for those who are in the region. We must make sure that we embrace the issues of our culture, because our culture continues to remain the backbone of today's economy, and that is something also really, if at all we engage in, that will be quite well and good. And I really feel if at all we engage in our culture, where also today many of our young people are not into our culture, that would be quite well. But really we need to also have measures to also really control the issues, first of all, of changes in climate, which continue to affect the farmers in there, and that is something which I really feel if at all that is also done, then definitely many people would be attracted in farming. And the issues of price fluctuations would also be addressed, because if at all we are having a standard price, that would also help also many people also, that will also help attract many people into farming in there, and to me that would be a plus in terms of also addressing that area in there. But as we get move on with the show, I want to remind that also so many issues continue to unfold in the region, and tomorrow, as I said earlier on, we shall be having also the head of, we shall be expecting the head of state, that's His Excellency Dr. Museveni, to also come for this engagement. That is at Arua Primary School Playground. That is for the mega Thanksgiving ceremony. That is of Ezamaham Zamil, the Deputy Resident City Commissioner for Central Division, also really, where we are going to be also in there. And we want to see our leaders also front some of the ideas, and I really want to say maybe if they also front issues of, first of all, the price fluctuations, and also really maybe how also we can be able to give waivers to the farmers who may be able to also really hit by also other areas, because today we have also really realized that because of the demand also for other cash crops, for instance Mairungi, many people have been pushed away from food production, where also I do not know how exactly that is going to be impacting on as Arua city continues now to be fed by the other areas. For instance, Arua district, which has also become the backbone also in terms of food basket, also supplying Arua city in there. But today we have also realized that Marungi growing is slowly also entering in there. But how will that mean in terms of also food production here? Because food security is actually one thing that we need to talk about, because if we don't talk about food security, and then many times also we can't be able to be hit by the negative and devastating impacts that is of also really what we call hunger in there. But that's something also I want to take your opinions on. How do we make sure that each and everybody is supported, and how do we address the concern of price fluctuations? Because price fluctuations do not only happen maybe to the food crops, but other areas also continue to happen. Look at what is happening with the matoke today. People have produced matoke in surplus, but the demand is still low, and that is how the prices of matoke has gone down. And over the years, really, matoke used to be a branch of matoke which used to be 17,000, today is sold at 9,000, and the price also indicates that also the surplus was much, and then the demand has also gone low, and that is how today we are also seeing our matoke being transported to DRC. We have also seen our matoke being transported to South Sudan, but still also really the demand is not very much overwhelming, and many people actually could have invested a lot of money into matoke production, but that is not not to their wish, as the demand also continue to remain. And in the areas of Zombo, areas of Nebi, now people have also decided to call matoke also the green something. I want to say, how do we also really make sure the prices normalize? And that is something also at the end of the day I really feel will be great. And if at all we talk about it, then definitely that will also really mean a lot. And that is something also really I want to talk about. If at all as we also get to move on with the show, that will be quite well. And that is one thing as I want to talk about this early morning, that will be quite good, because if at all we don't talk about it, then definitely that will be very, very much bad in there. Now, to leave that discussion aside, now let's look at some of the stories on the past morning. Professor Baria says shillings 100 million victory and indictment on also Nawangwe administration in there. Remember, issues also continue to unfold from Makerere University, where the Vice Chancellor actually suspended a number of people, which didn't go on well. Some people who have threatened also to also sanction him in there, and that's something that we are seeing on the, we did see happening and emerging over this week, and I really want to say we are also going to be talking about that. And Makerere University has been ordered to pay former London shillings 100 million damages for unfair and unwarranted denial of post-retirement contract, and that was something also we did see happening, and we didn't go on well. And it's June 4th ruling. The Staff Appeal Tribunal has ordered the Makerere University's appointment board to also really immediately consider Professor Jean Baria's application for grant also of post-retirement contract, not later than also July 31st. In the tribunal said the appointments board also unfair treatment of Baria's application was also unwarranted and also injured his name and integrity, yet he had served the university diligently for more than 30 years, and that's something we did see happening, where we did see John Jean Baria, a professor at the School of Law with teaching experience also spanning that's back to 1990, applied for post-retirement contract on January 20th of 2020. However, he hit retirement age, that's on May 15th of 2020. At the time, also a section of the university staff led by also the academic staff association, that's Mwasa, and students also we are also in regular conflict with management also led by Vice Chancellor, that's Barnabas Nawangwe in there. So at the university also preferred anonymity, also in order to speak freely, say Professor Nawangwe also said Professor Baria as a legal shield behind Mwasa, and the headache also it was giving his near militaristic administration. That's something that we did see maybe also that issue that maybe emerging from. And Nawangwe had infamously also suspended, and then Mwasa chairman, that's Deus Kamunyu, in January 20, and comparative law Professor Baria's retirement age also came as a blessing in disguise, as a source added. And Professor Baria also was ignored also even after he had also fulfilled the requirement also provided in the human resource also manual and the recommendations already at the School of Law. The tribunal also noted in there on September also 14th 2020. He wrote to the Director of Human Rights, only to be told on December 15th, 2020, that that the Vice Chancellor was unable to recommend him for post-retirement contract on the grounds of teaching also load and engagements in research in that. By the tribunal, whose also first work is in the proof barrier appeal was heard by Justice Patrick Tabaro. The particular concern was also the fact that the appointments did not also really fully proper and properly take into account also the documentation from the academic units, and also at the School of Law, and that's something we did see in there. But really, how do we make sure that such issues that do not also really happen? Because after all, if at all maybe this also really happens, how do we address issues internally? That's something also need to ask, because sometimes also where we are seeing also such concerns emerging from the fountain of education, then that definitely also tells us how maybe we should also really maybe look at those universities. And that's something also I want to say, we must also ensure that this issue is addressed once and for all, because this issue has been there right from 2020, and of this week we have also been seeing issues and where we did see threats of also really wanting to also really sanction the university professor in there. That's the Vice Chancellor, that's Professor Nawangwe, but really we are following up on University Secretary, that's Yufu Chiranda, cited the legality of the retired High Court judge chairing the tribunal. Also says the university and other tertiary institutions act stipulates that the chairperson must be person qualified to be a High Court judge in there. And Professor Nawangwe and his team were much relieved that the Attorney General also Chiroa Chiwanuka agreed with them, but seasoned lawyer Henry Honoria, backed by the committee also of Rodan Alubega, Helen Nkabala, and Sarah Wengoso Sasa, and Joseph Kalema, as well as Fred also Maingara and Peter Enero, appeared to have picked also up from where Justice Tabaro left in there. And before also we did see Tabaro's tribunal was unceremonious demanded in April last year. They had discussed and reached also a framework of a ruling, that's of hearing on that's on March 31st of 2023, where also we did see in that's in the case of also Professor Baria in the Mr. Chiranda. I told also journalists that the discussion on the orders of the staff tribunal will be presented also to the appointments board also in there. And that's something also I want to put the discussions at aside, and I really want to say, what do you think about the mess happening at the University of Makerere, and how do we also really see this matter be addressed? because this matter is actually something that already came out in public domain, and where so many people have actually expressed mixed reactions, while others have already condemned it. And how do we make sure that this matter does not go on? And that is where I also need the opinion as we get to the climax of the first quarter, of the first hour, or second hour, sorry, as we also moving. And our final destination, as I said earlier on, remains 9 o'clock, and after 9 o'clock, that is when the news bulletin in Lubarati with Mukulia Lawrence will be coming through. But before we get to give the news bulletin that's in detail with Mukulia Lawrence, we still have lots more issues that we prepared for you on the past morning, and we are going to be keeping you informed. But before we give you more of that, let's first have this short commercial rest as we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
For Miss Uganda 2024 is on. Get ready to be wowed by the girls' intelligence, charisma, and big dreams. Who will be the next Miss Uganda? Find out starting 10th May every Friday to Sunday at 8 p.m. on Makulachika, exclusively on Star Times. The show is sponsored by LMZ, Comform, Nanjing Hotel, Kira Motors, Sheraton, Uganda Airlines, and lead sponsors, Grass Textiles and U-Home. Miss Uganda 2024, true Ugandan beauty.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from that short commercial breather. We are back for the final hour of the KOKOLIRIKO live show, and our final destination remains 9 o'clock. But before we get to 9 o'clock, I want to remind that so many issues continue to happen, both of that's from the region and across the region and across borders. And talking about also the stories happening across borders. And remember, in Rwanda, they are heading towards polls. But really, we are now seeing information from also the country indicates that Diana Rwigara has also really again been barred from also aspiring for president in there. But I really don't know what that means, but really that is something also we are seeing on the part this morning. And now Rwanda's National Electoral Commission has again dashed Miss also Diana Rwigara's hope of running for president in the July 14th elections in there. And only 3 candidates from the 2017 presidential elections also made it also really on the provisional list of candidates. released by also the National also the Electoral Commission in there. And that's something we did see. We are seeing on the past morning, and incumbent also Paul Kagame seeking also to extend his stronghold on the strength of African nation. At 30 years also he will again face Green Party's Frank Habineza, an independent candidate, and not forgetting Philippe Mpaimana and other candidates in that. The decision also to omit Ms. Ruegara will be also shock for the 42-year-old daughter of former Rwanda Patriotic Front, Francia Asinapo Rwigara, who was also killed, that is in a car crash in February 2015, that the family also maintains also really in there. And that's something we are seeing on the past morning, and that's something also really which the family members actually said is a foul play, where the father also actually died in way back in 2015 in there. And the hopes of now this lady aspiring for presidency have now been ruined following that incident in there. But the next chairperson, that's Oda Gasigwaza, said Rwigara had failed to submit requirements such as also the criminal record, and that there were also some anomalies with the signatures also backing her presidential dream in there. And that is something also where we are seeing her also being omitted from the list again for yet another time in there. And Ms. Gasigwaza said the affected aspirants can still submit their missing documents within 5 working days, but Ms. Rwigara is unlikely to make the grade, since the requirements also signatures also already, since the grade also requirement for signatures was closed on May 30th in there. In 2017, Ms. Rwigara failed to meet the list entirely after being accused of forging signatures of dead persons, and that's something we did see on the we did see her being omitted for. But now we are also really going to be seeing her omitted from the list for yet another time. I don't know what that means. You, the viewer, definitely has the answers of what exactly is happening in there. And she was also treated to the rudeness and crudeness also really of politics when her alleged nude photos were published on social media, and also she was later arrested along with the mother, that's Adeline, and sister Anne, and charged with also really forgery and tax evasion in there. These are also really where some maybe she has also really been able to go through. And the other 4 also hopefuls have been also locked out of the race, which among others include Jean Mbada, a former lawmaker, and also Fred Barifida Sechkubo, who like also Ms. Rwigara was kicked out in 2017, and 2 teachers from teachers who are also identified as Thomas Habimana and also the Innocent, also really, not forgetting Innocent, also really, who have been thrown out of that race in there. And 2 opposition figures, Victoria, also Ingabire, and also not forgetting Bernard Ntaganda, we are both arrested in 2010 and jailed after sticking their necks out of challenge Kagame's stronghold in Rwanda, where earlier barred also from the election where they contested, and that's something we are seeing on past morning. And President Kagame has ruled Rwanda since 1994 after also stopping the genocide against the Tutsi. Also, although for the first 9 years he played also in the shadows as vice president and defense minister before taking the complete reins in 2003 in there. And that's something we are seeing on the past morning. And he has been widely also credited with restoring stability and also in the country and raising it from the ashes of ethnic killings to a modern also economy. But he is also already widely criticized for limited also shrinking also democratic space and human rights violation. And that's something also already maybe somebody could be interested in. And I remember the man has also already had his own or maybe achievements. And talking about Rwanda is actually one of those countries that is said to be very much clean, and one of those developed countries in Africa, which is actually one of those countries becoming actually a dream destination to visit maybe for those who love tourism. And that is one thing also where Rwanda would be remembered for. But the challenge is coming in terms of democracy, where there is also said to be limited democracy, where the man is actually said to be leading the country in maybe in how he feels that he needs to be ruling the country like. And that is something also which many people are actually criticizing his government for. And I really want to say that is something also we are following up on. And that is something also I don't know how the viewer, what you think about it, but really that is what is happening in Rwanda, where this lady is actually barred again for yet another time. I don't know what that means, but really I want to say this is something we are following up on. And I really want to say at the end of the day, that is something also we shall be able to keep informed of. And I don't know what that exactly means, but maybe what you as the viewer can also share your opinions on with us on what exactly that means. Because if you look at what is happening in Rwanda, that definitely tells us exactly of what could be happening in there. But that is something also where I want to also put that discussion aside and now summarize the discussions with what is happening in the world of sports as usual. I really want to say so many issues continue to happen in the region, but really to keep informed maybe just briefly about what is happening in the region, we are also really seeing a break where we did see also really as many of these leagues be completed, right from the lower leagues up to the top leagues in there. If I'm talking about the top leagues, and I mean the Southern Uganda Premier League, which actually climaxed, where now the teams are now preparing for the next season, as others are preparing for the next encounters. And if I talk about the encounters, the winners are now preparing for the CAF Champions League games, as also maybe the losers also maybe would not win the trophy, and now competing and preparing also for what we call the next season in there. And that is how at the end of the day I want to say we are following up on, and now we have also already seen the Uganda Cranes also team preparing for the forthcoming games in there, where we are also looking forward to having these games in there. But really that's something also I want to say we are following up on, and we shall be able to keep you informed and updated of what is happening in there. But really to look at what is happening in the Uganda Cranes camp, we also now seeing the team now very, very much being prepared in there. But that is something also at the end of the day we are following up on, as the team is now preparing for their forthcoming games. That is against Namibia, that's Nambole, and now the players who have been summoned are now in massive preparations for these games also, where we shall be seeing Uganda preparing against Botswana, which is today, where also where we have seen a number of these teams actually preparing also for these games in there now, also where we are now waiting for these games. And that is something also at the end of the day where we want to say we are following up on, and I don't know how the games will be able to end, but we shall be able to come Monday to keep you informed of maybe how Uganda has done in these games, because this is also where we are going to be taking advantage of the national stadium for the very first time, and this is actually after renovation works also being completed in there. And this is where Uganda is actually going to be hosting the games after the works on this stadium is actually done. And that is something also I feel I need to talk about, because if at all we leave that aside, then that is how unfortunate it is, because we are going to be following up on that. And now looking at something about transfers also locally in there, now the teams are already preparing to also sign the players here and there. And now looking at the top teams, they have already announced the players that they want to sign, and they are following up on their signatures, as the lower teams also continue to also pursue their players that they will also need their services come next season. And that's something also at the end of the day, maybe to begin locally in here, we are now seeing Bright Vuni, formerly of Arua Hill Sports Club, also now signing a contract with URA as he joins as a free agent in there on a 2-year deal. And this is after his contract with UPDF, which was short term, ended also already on June 3rd in there. And we are wishing all these players from Western sub-region the best, because we also want to see our players move and shine. That is at the greater levels in there. That will also make us proud, because I believe if at all these players move, then definitely the excitement also goes back to us. And that is how at the end of the day where we are going to be celebrating, because we cannot be able to celebrate alone, because we have to celebrate together. And if at all our own is maybe moving from one club to another, that is also to our excitement. And that is also something where I need to talk about, because if at all we are talking about the transfers, and then definitely we cannot be also talking, we cannot be able to live talking about our own. And this is also where I want to see maybe those players who are formerly with the Rahil, who are not signed contracts, also to move within this transfer window, because they were actually given the mandate of moving or maybe to the clubs that they want. And that is also something at the day which I really feel would be quite well. And now let's look at what is happening nationally. And this is from Fabrizio Romano, and we're also seeing where Benfica also is in position to sign Yao Neves, who has already been there in that. That's something we are seeing on the past morning. And remember, recently most of these clubs, first of all, are now signing. Where we did see recently also something we cannot be able to talk about is the VAR, where recently we did see out of the 20 clubs, 19 voting in favor of keeping on maintaining the VAR. And now we did see Wolves also being the lonely clock, where so many issues continue to be unfolded on the region in there. We did see also clubs already talking about their new signings, where we're also talking about Tosin Adrea, also signed to Chelsea, and that's something that we are seeing where the medicals have been done. And that is something also at the end of the day, maybe very soon we may see this young man also becoming a Chelsea player. And that is something also where we want to leave the discussions for today with. And I want to say thank you so much for whoever watched us right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. I want to say we are going to be stopping here with the discussions. We're not going to be moving on up to 9, and that is only something we shall be able to bounce back on Monday. And up next is the news bulletin Lubarati with Mukulia Lawrence. We want to take this opportunity to thank you so much for watching us right from the time we began until this hour of the morning. We say thank you so much, and have a good day and a great weekend as well. We shall be bouncing back on Monday. Thank you.